On this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast, we meet a new entrepreneur in Tipton, Indiana. Don't miss it. Welcome, everyone, to the Open in Indiana podcast, where we feature the people, places, and events that make Indiana a great place to live, work, and visit. Today, our guest is Chris Anderson, founder and CEO of Pencil Leadership. Chris, how are you today?
Doing fantastic, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Chris, let's jump right in. I'd like to ask a little bit about your background and how you came to found Pencil Leadership.
For sure. Yeah. So originally went to college for athletic training. And so I was in that field for a little while. But during that, basically to keep a long story short, just wasn't aligned, wasn't being fulfilled with what I was doing 100%. And I wanted to figure that out and eventually did. And through athletic training, realized I really enjoyed and really got a lot of energy and was good at having conversations with people about their passions and how to make them profitable online. So what steps it took to do that and go about that, because I saw online virtual things to be the way to do it. And this was before COVID hit, before all that came about. It just made sense to me. I was doing my podcast online, so I realized there was a lot of potential there for so many different ideas and passions. And so I wanted to help other people do that, find their passion, build it online so they could eventually fire their boss and walk away and do what they love to do. And so I started that, but then dialed in and kind of focused more on online coaches. So people who, health coaches, mindset coaches, life coaches, whatever kind of coaches online, because my goal is to impact 1 million lives at the least with Pencil Leadership. And so being able to help coaches get better, provide better service, and increase their reach online, then would help me have some sort of touch, some sort of reach with more people. And so, so I help people kind of get going online, build that good foundation. I have a 3-pillar system to build a good foundation of success. And those pillars are health, purpose, and wealth. And so really coming alongside people and helping them through that process.
And so, Chris, what are some of the specific ways that you can help your clients improve?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, going back to those 3 pillars, it really starts with us. If we're not having the right habits, the right practices in place, it's going to ooze over into our personal and professional lives. And so we start with that. That's a big foundation, is making sure we're putting the habits in place, the systems every day that are improving us. And then with purpose, we want to make sure we're aligned with what our passions and what our strengths are, so we can have a better route to take to build something online. And then the wealth aspect obviously comes into building the systems and processes for business to grow. So bringing in more clients, having an offer that fits what their needs are, the pain points for your ideal target market, and then being able to then slowly scale that business so it can be profitable and it can become your full-time thing, and then scale to the point where, because we all want more time freedom as well, where we don't have to have our hand in all the cookie jars, I guess you could say. Just focus on what we really love doing, and then being able to incorporate a team to do those other aspects.
And so, Chris, as you've built your business, how were you able to dial in your niche of working with coaches?
Yeah, so that's a big one, and hard for some people. Is I wanted to help everybody. I knew I could help everybody, but that spreads you super thin. And so thinking like, okay, I'm coaching other people, so who would I ideally want to help? And thinking about my strengths and thinking about my expertise and what I've learned along the journey, and realize I was really kind of leaning towards other coaches because of their heart to help people and to make a positive impact, which Pencil Leadership, the 5th trait, is to leave a positive mark in the world. And so I was like, okay, I want to help people who are leaving or wanting to leave a positive mark on the world. And so that just kind of turned my attention more focused on coaches online.
And so, Chris, what's something you wish you knew when you were just getting started?
Where to start? No, there's so much. And that's what the importance. So the first trait of pencil leadership is we have to be guided and held and helped. We need to have our mentors, our coaches. And so I guess, to be transparent, the first thing, the biggest thing I wish I would have learned sooner was to put my ego to the side and really truly listen to the advice I was getting on how to start building the business. And I think, yeah, that was probably the biggest one for me.
And so, Chris, you mentioned you host your own podcast. Would you like to share a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Pencil Leadership, trying to keep everything branded the same. It is a personal and professional development show. So I interview guests that have different expertise in different areas of either personal development or in the business world. And so trying to bring a lot of value to the audience. I actually was on the phone with a gentleman today. He's a colonel in the Army. He was in the Special Forces for 41 years. And so I'm super excited to get him on to share just about leadership and different topics within that. So people kind of like that. So how we can improve as people in our relationships, in our business, because at the end of the day, they all kind of coincide together. So we can go out and leave a positive mark.
And so, Chris, how would our viewers and listeners contact you if they want to learn more or find out when your next podcast episode is happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So the podcast comes out. It's on all the podcast directories, Apple, Spotify, things like that. So you can search it there. Feel free, though, to connect with me on Instagram. That's my main social media page at chris.t.anderson. Send me a message or reach out. I'd love to connect with you, talk with you, see what you're up to. And I post there regularly. And then if another option would be just my website, pencilleadership.com, where my podcasts are also on, and you can see what else I'm up to.
Awesome. And one last thing before we close today's episode, what piece of advice could you offer someone who's thinking about taking the next step in their life, but haven't done so yet?
Yeah, the one piece of advice that I would give you if you're wanting to take that next step, but haven't yet, would be to seek out guidance, a coach, someone it fits for it. And this isn't just, hey, come see me, but whoever can help you, find that person. Because again, we can't do it alone. We're not made to do it alone. And you're going to be able to learn a lot from their mistakes and their past failures. So you don't maybe stumble on them as long, or you might bypass them altogether. So seek someone who's done what you want to do, or is where you're at, or where you want to be, and just, seek that guidance from them.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being our guest today. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for catching this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. Catch our next episode soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. If you enjoyed listening, subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, iHeartRadio, or on our website, openinIndiana.com/OII podcast. Thanks for listening.